truly mean this when I say it, that your life can change in an instant, but only if you remain consistent, treat yourself with self-respect, avoid dwelling on the outcome, continue putting yourself out there, and stay dedicated to your craft, mission, and/or purpose. If there's anything you should know, the easiest way to stay stuck is to spiritually, mentally, and physically remain in comfort. And I, for one, totally get it. When it comes to putting yourself out there can be a ton of limitations. Fear of failure, fear of success, fear of judgment, fear of rejection, self-doubt, imposter syndrome, which makes it super easy to just creep back into our comfort bubble. But little do we know that while it might feel comfortable in the moment, we are definitely shooting ourselves in the foot when it comes to talking about our future or just creating a better life for ourselves. So how do we continue to push past all of these limitations when it feels like all the cards are stacked against you? That's what we're going to talk about in this video. But first, let's be real for a second. How can we possibly imagine ourselves creating a better life if we're constantly creeping back into the known, the familiar? And it's so funny, right? Like, we know that doing that thing would bring us so much fulfillment, yet we just get in our own way. But in the end, it never pushes us towards or closer to the life that we want to live. I can remember so many times just over the last couple years of just getting so excited about pursuing something, thinking, oh yeah, I could totally do that. And then when it came the next day, time to take action or to do something, I would just overwhelm myself with all the thoughts that would race back and forth. What do I do first? Is that the wrong step? Should I reach out to somebody first? Let's just scroll on social media. And the next thing you know, an hour, 30 minutes, an hour later, you haven't made any progress and the day is over. And you're like, okay, well, I might as well just cook dinner and just fuck off until I go to sleep. And if the thing that we want to do requires us putting ourselves out there, for example, this right here, content creation, putting my face out there to the world, if we don't do that, if we don't create the video, how can we expect other people to support, to spread the word, to give a shit in the first place, to see what you're doing, to even understand? How can we expect them to know if we're not putting it out there consistently? And I know that one thing that prevented me from staying consistent in the past was just this like ridiculous mind chatter that I had after posting a video thinking that it was gonna do a lot better than it did, and I'm putting all this work into it and just feeling really let down. And it's like, why make another video? Why make another video and do all that over again when it's just gonna get this many views? And the problem with that is that I was really focused on the outcome. I wasn't in alignment with myself. I wasn't in alignment with my purpose. Because the thing is when we're aligned with ourselves and we're aligned with our purpose, everything sort of falls into place for us. We may not know what timing it does it, but it will fall in line for us as long as we are in alignment and know what our purpose is and have like a bigger reason as to why we're posting these videos, why you're doing the thing that you're going after, or why you want to do the side hustle that you've been considering for the past year, but you just have gotten in your own way of doing. And if you are thinking about doing something like content creation, know that you are going to put something out there, especially your first 5 videos or 10 or 20 or 30 or 50, and people aren't going to give a shit. That's just the nature of life. It's the same reason why you don't give a shit about somebody else who's just starting. You're waking up worrying about yourself. You're going to sleep worrying about yourself. And there's something beautiful about the fact that nobody cares in the beginning, because it allows you to make mistakes, to fuck up, and to, embrace the fact that you're just learning something new. You are inevitably not as skilled as you will be in the future. So embrace the fact that you are not great at what you do, and don't go into it expecting that you're going to be some god, because that will only let you down, I promise you. With all these years of growing up watching other YouTubers and feeling like I at least had a slight understanding of the game, I went into it maybe not dramatically thinking that I'm a god, but I definitely thought that a year into it I would see more traction than I did. And that expectation that I put on myself caused a lot of self-sabotage later on. If you're new here, something that's worth noting here is that it took me 200 videos to hit 1K subscribers. 200 videos. Had I known that in the beginning that was going to be the case, maybe it's a good thing I didn't know that. But I wear that as a badge of honor now, because it's a testament to consistency regardless of the outcome. There's so many videos that didn't perform the way that I wanted to. And had I let that stop me, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you today. At the end of the day, good things take time. right? I'm sure you can reflect on something in your life that took you a while to complete, whether it's a project from school or something you did at work or something you did with your own business. The good dopamine, the good feeling of satisfaction, the feeling of pride and fulfillment comes from things that are difficult. And it's really important in those moments when we feel like, oh, here comes the negative voices. I don't know if I should keep going. It's so important in those moments to treat yourself with that self-respect, that self-love, as cheesy as it may be, that you need. I remember seeing this video once about this experiment done on 3 jars of rice. The point of the experiment was to show the power of the energy behind your words. In the first jar, he would tell it, thank you. In the second jar, he would say, you're an idiot. And then in the third jar, he basically just ignored it. And he did this over 30 days. And what ended up happening at the end was the first jar of rice that he said thank you to began to ferment and gave off this like really beautiful aroma. Now the other 2, the one that he said you're an idiot to, ended up turning black. The third one that he completely ignored ended up rotting. Now this experiment was really, I believe, aimed towards showing the impact of how we speak to our children for parenting purposes. But if that's the case, then what difference does it make if that's how we talk to ourselves? If we're talking to ourselves and calling ourselves idiots and not giving ourselves the love that we need, especially when the conditions aren't right, when, you know, in the rice's scenario, maybe the air is not as clean, or maybe it's not at the right temperature. And going back to YouTube, this could be, oh, my video didn't get as many views as I wanted it to. I must be a failure, calling myself stupid, calling myself a shitty videographer or YouTuber, whatever have you. It goes a lot farther than just those moments of the words that we say. There's energy behind the words that we speak to ourselves. Now, every day is not going to be perfect. We all still talk shit to ourselves. It's just important to realize what impact it has on us. Once we can think about the fact that saying you're so stupid to a jar of something as simple as a jar of rice for 30 days can make it turn black. Do you want yourself to rot, or do you want yourself to blossom? I personally would rather choose myself to blossom. And so I'm going to choose not to just fill myself with fluffy positive affirmations that aren't true, but nurturing myself as if it were my kid who was going through a tough time, who was maybe doing their first, sports game and got really upset with themselves after the way they performed. How would you speak to a child? How would you speak to your child? Speak to yourself the same way. You deserve the same exact respect that a child does. The funny thing is that it starts with you. The respect starts with the self. If you can respect the self, you can truly respect others. How you judge other people is how you judge yourself. So if you feel like you're judging people in a way that is maybe toxic, or you immediately run to negative thoughts about other people, or if you ever have in your past, then maybe this is a sign that you're not giving yourself the self-love that you need. Wow, I didn't think about that until now, but in a way that it seems like an end result of talking to yourself a certain way. When you rot inside, you can't help but to see everything out in the world in a rotten way. I'm being very dramatic here, but hopefully you're following what I'm saying, because it's all related. Everything is connected in some sort of way, and that's what makes metaphors and analogies so powerful, at least in my opinion. But back to whatever it is that you want to pursue in life. Stop focusing on the outcome. The outcome doesn't matter. It really does not matter. If you feel like you are giving everything you've got, and you know for a fact, deep inside, you can feel it, that I have given this everything I've got. I've given my blood, sweat, and tears, and I've given it more than I thought I had. Then maybe you consider the outcome. Maybe you then can consider, okay, I've been doing this for 10 years. Something's not working. If I don't love it, maybe then I can try something new. But that is a very, very extreme example. A lot of times, I'll speak for myself. Going back to the moment I was talking about, where there were some moments of me complaining about my YouTube journey and not being where I wanted to be. Truth is, I could have been putting more effort into it. I could have stopped slacking. I could have really done more research on things that matter to me. I could have really honed in on a topic and bought a course and dove deep into it. I could have really done more reflecting on my life and what my purpose is, because a lot of the things that I was doing at the time just felt like I didn't know the reason behind why I was doing it. Once I really understood the type of life that I wanted to create for myself and my family, everything started to align. And that's kind of like where I'm at today. It just feels like I'm in this flow. I'm not worried about the outcome. Sure, there are times where like I might think a little too much about how a video is doing, but at the end of the day, I'm not letting it stop me from taking the next step. And so there are boundaries around these things that I know can trigger me and maybe potentially put me down a spiral of negative thoughts, because I've been there so many times. So another thing is if you do find yourself going down spirals all the time and just like beating yourself up, know that your pain serves a purpose in the future. The pain that you're going through right now is building bumper lanes for you to be successful in the future, as long as you choose to think of it that way. That has been the most impactful thing for me, because it's released the pressure, it's released the expectation that things need to be different than they are. No, everything is serving a purpose in some sort of way. I'm not going to know that right now all the time, and it's not the point to know it all right now anyways. Do what you can, show up, be consistent, don't worry about the outcome. Everything else, just like ride the wave. That's the best way I can explain it. If you go out on the ocean, you cannot help the fact that it's going to get rocky at times. There are going to be different weather conditions at different moments. All you can do is look at the map, steer the boat, eat the food, and just do your best. When it comes to the boat rocking, you either just choose to embrace it, or you just like make your life even more miserable. The boat's going to rock either way. You can't stop the boat from rocking. A few weeks ago, I was hanging out with some neighbors, and we got into a pretty deep conversation about her business that she's working on, and she's building this bakery business. It's something that she's always wanted to do, and she recently left her 9-to-5 to pursue this. So you can imagine that it was a little scary, and things may still be a little scary. I won't speak for her, but we were talking about, just strategy, growing the business, and like mindset as you're building something new, which is exactly what we're talking about in this video. Your life can change in an instant. In her example, she's a baker. As long as she continues to bake, to post videos on socials, continue refining her craft and putting herself out in farmers markets and nearby areas to where she can grow her business and promote it, her success is inevitable. As long as she keeps doing that, because the reason why things can change in an instant is all it takes is one mom in the neighborhood behind us to tell the whole neighborhood of moms that she knows. And who knows, one of those moms might be involved with some corporate organization, and she then becomes the go-to baker for all of the little treats that they have. And that is all it takes for your entire business to change. Sure, there are other examples where this is more of a steady growth, but in most cases, it can come down to, I'll speak for myself, one person. When I met that person, things started to change. It wouldn't have changed had I just stayed in my comfort bubble and avoided putting myself out there, avoided doing the difficult thing. One beautiful lesson that I learned is that money comes as a byproduct of pursuing your passion and designing a meaningful life. In a way, I feel like when we live our life meaningfully, we do both ourselves and others a favor. It's a selfless act to design a life that fulfills us. Because when we don't, we start to rot, just like the rice. Just like the rice. On the flip side, if we do the things that we really want to do, pursuing the path that we know will fulfill us, all of a sudden our life begins to ferment. I had to. That's hilarious. But all of a sudden, life just gets better, and you don't worry about the conditions so much. Going back to the boat rocking example, you just ride the boat. Now you're just not sitting in the boat, just sitting there. You're steering the ship, checking when the sun is out, trying to read if there's going to be a storm coming, preparing, etc. Like, I'm not saying just forget about it, be prepared, but don't stress about what's going on. Whatever is happening is meant to happen, and you will always recognize that in the end. And you can reflect on things in your past, breakup, losing your job, losing a friend, fucking up on a exam, not getting into a university. I wanted to go to A&M whenever I was in high school, and I was just following the path of the people I knew around me. Texas A&M is a college here in Texas, if you're unfamiliar. That happened so much for a reason, because had I went down that path, my life would have been so different. I don't think I would have had the time or the energy to get this camera, to then go on a photography shoot, to then start a career with filmmaking. I can be thankful for the fact that I didn't get accepted into the school. So point is, whatever's happening is meant to happen. It's all about the attitude. Your attitude is powerful. You do have control over the way you see things and the people you surround yourself with and the energy you give yourself, choosing the things that you get to do in your free time and being mindful about those things and not letting distractions like social media get in the way of that, and making excuses for ourselves as, I just need a doom scroll. That's cool and all, but if you're wanting to pursue something and you're doom scrolling, then you have to just be real with yourself, and you have to take the pain of all that time wasted distracting yourself and make it serve a purpose. I can tell you that if you've never embraced the discomfort and you have constantly ran away from it, man, you're in for a treat. Your life is about to change. Like so much. You do not understand what type of feeling of joy comes from just doing the thing that you know you want to do, making sacrifices for it. All of a sudden, you start to feel this different energy. You start to make connections with people that you're like, how the fuck did I meet this person? And then things just start to blossom from there, and your life just takes this complete 180. And you start doing things that you never would have thought had been possible. And all those years of stacking failures and just talking like shit to yourself, feeling like nothing was ever gonna work, just clicks. It's like, that's why this, and this didn't happen. It's because I was supposed to do this. And this is what makes me unique. This is my life. This is my path. And every single little thing along that path is worn as a badge of honor. I promise you, just do the hard thing. You will always thank yourself in the end. I hope this video inspires you to do that. And if you want to connect with me on Instagram, my @ is AshtonTJoe. I respond to all of my DMs and would love to hear from you. Thank you so much for watching this video. Much love, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.